I think if you view it as a tool and you think of the end goal in mind and you backcast, all of a sudden engineering becomes an exquisite tool. So for me, it was all about context. And, I could have done many things to pursue human health, but I think for me, engineering seemed to be the one that would allow me to have the most enduring impact. So it was the motivation for what you want to do for society that drove what skill sets I wanted to develop. And of course, when you go from engineering, you might ask, why academic career? And I think it was very naturally a process of problem solving. And honestly, creativity and problem solving are fun. I find that to be, basically like doing art. There's no perfect answer. There is just an answer that's personally expressed. And I think with engineering and other subjects like humanities, you can bring all of those disciplines together to create something new. And that's a very exciting process, especially if it can do good for society.
I call it my quarter-life crisis. I was a senior in undergrad. I applied to medical school. I started interviewing places and then realized, similarly to what Nimi was just saying, that that is one way to have impact on human health, but that pursuing a graduate degree in engineering meant, developing tools that do have more enduring impact, and then also the potential to be training the next, generation of engineers who will come on and, do things that we can't even imagine are possible right now.
In our lab, we do a lot of application and implementation of the tools I mentioned into the field. That became the natural course of events, right? You build something you want to see. Does it matter? Does it not matter? Does it stick? And so that led us to working with an international group of people who had a problem that we could potentially help solve. And so through those experiences, Brian and I have both taught courses, project-based courses, where we engage students to work on these problems in real time, not your didactic, traditional classroom stuff, but really learning how to do things that matter and learning those skills to then apply to future endeavors. And all of that material, everything that we were learning, that wasn't taught in a standard textbook. For example, policy. How do governments make decisions about adopting a technology? Commercialization. Who cares? Who's going to help you? How are you going to make money at the end of the day? You have to make money to keep building and selling. So all of those things basically was new material that wasn't captured in that collective way in a textbook. And I thought, what a great opportunity to put this all together like a story, like the journey of technologies. And how could you look at the 20th century and look at the 21st century and say, how are we going to change that trajectory? And how are we going to change the trajectory so that healthcare is more accessible and we have a more healthy planet overall from that innovation?
Yeah, I agree. And I think we saw that, just looking across different universities at what types of courses were offered, that there really is a gap in the space between technology design and the stakeholders who will be using that technology, and understanding that, so much focus of engineering courses and engineering research is, the next big advancement, the next cutting edge technology. And that's, something that we realized looking historically has led to access disparities for healthcare. And then at the same time, technology can bridge that gap and actually make new implementations of healthcare possible that ultimately democratize access. And so I think that was a very important part of developing that textbook was, speaking to the ways that technology has contributed to getting us where we are today, but how it could also be the solution.
Better say fun.
Well, I was going to say, I think though that I think that our relationship has dynamically evolved over the course of the last however many years, 12 years. So, I mean, it was a lot of fun. I think we did really have a lot of fun writing the textbook and thinking about, how to incorporate all of these different elements in a meaningful way, but also a digestible way, and to not, necessarily put all of our own biases into it as well. I think that we, really sought to have a lot of external peer review of the book during the process of writing it, and I think that really helped it, evolve tremendously. There were many iterations. Iterations. I mean, I just think back to when we really first had kind of the skeleton of 9 or 10 chapters.
Yeah, gosh.
And, we're so proud of that initial, I don't know, it was probably 150 pages in Microsoft Word, and then realized no, we need to substantially bolster this. And
This is it.
Anyway, in Microsoft Word, it was 600, I think. It was a lot.
It was 3 years?
3 years, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I think it was the most, I don't want to say the most, but it was really an enriching experience because I found we were learning. I don't know that I would have ever dug deep into AI or any of those subjects had that not been the case. It's almost like you create a book to learn also about what are the important elements. And we had the skills to do that kind of thing, right? It's not easy if you don't have the bigger picture to say, well, we think this is important and this is important. So that's where the life experiences, the lived experiences from working with many different stakeholders came, was brought to bear on the book.